Welcome back, guys. We are here at the LOL Arena. We are in the midst of Kingzone DragonX up against Damwon Gaming. Game 1 was wild and fun, very back and forth, but Kingzone's Kaisa comp did come out to win in the end up against Damwon, who couldn't keep their solo laners alive.
Definitely a game where the basic plans of let's group and punish Damwon and let's push out on Damwon and try to find CS advantages, those basic plans happen. Now, the way we got to our victory condition involving all sorts of shenanigans, including a Baron steal by an underleveled support with Unsealed Spellbook, that's the part where perhaps you can see that Kings are still being worked out for Damwon Gaming and Kingzone. It is a reset period for the LCK, and a lot of teams are not at the same level of cleanliness they were in past metas. So given all those variables, we're likely to see more games like that where you got things to shout about and you got things to shout at, and you know what? I'm happy to do both.
Yeah, I mean, game 1 was definitely a fun one to go back and forth. As now this time it will be Damwon on the blue side. You were mentioning how they look pretty good on red when they do get that counter pick for top side, but Nuguri further just getting banned out, banned over and over again. And this time they're on blue, so they're going to have to do something new in order to win this one.
See if the scouting reports that dominated the bans that we liked in the first game will change, because now that we have blue side for Nuguri, you don't need to dump quite as many bans into the top laners. I still think we will see some hitting the sidelines, but something small to note there with Damwon on the blue side for game number 2. And we also talked about how Pawn kind of dodged laning phase by roaming around Sion. He will not get Sion duty. See what he's going to prefer to move to. You look at Pawn's games so far this season, Urgot, Sion, those are now 4 of his champion picks. Then some of the other ones that have been a little bit more risky on his side, and definitely some of the control mages don't seem to fit their current style.
Well, they banned out 2 of the more tanky guys on the Rift. Will it be a third? No, it will be Ezreal, actually, taken away from Deft. This time around, we saw Nuclear on that pick, actually picked up his 4th loss, 0-4 on the Ezreal for now. That's more of a feeling of their current, or their most recent games, I should say, rather than his play on the pick. But this time around, he will pick up a Lucian, potentially. Should be pretty happy about that.
Definitely a series where Kaisa priority was likely to be quite high, given that it's a fallback for Nuclear as well. But Lucian obviously is the permanent lane bully. And also with that nice trading matchup early into Deft, if he does run the Kaisa, means that Lucian first pick makes a lot of sense. This is very high priority for Rascal on the Jace, but this is because it's a takeaway from Nuguri, because it's kind of his ultra comfort pick in the Jace that you can take first round and feel good about. It's also an old Pawn champion, so we'll wait and see on that particular one. And the Braum also has risen in priority, so Braum Kaisa, I think, is what they're going to run, but they take away the Braum to stop the old lane-busting duo of Lucian Braum just being a blue side lock-in for Damwon.
Take the Jace too, can flex that around a little bit, but could definitely just head up to the top side for Rascal, is where you would expect it the most. And how about an Alistar returning to the Rift here up against the Braum in the bottom side? Definitely adds already a nice amount of engage to their composition.
Notably not a Rakan in this spot. With the Rakan changes, we saw a win from Tucson, a loss from Hoyt, and no one else has dared to give it a go. We're seeing Lissandra first round be locked in, probably for Showmaker. Definitely is more of a mid lane champion, and surprise, it will not be a Kaisa after all. I wonder if this means something about the jungle matchup, because we're going to see Ashe locked in on the side of Kingzone. We've seen a couple of players go to the Ashe, so it's not necessarily a surprise pick, but with Kaisa open, they decide to go for something that lanes a bit stronger in Dilution because of the range advantage. You can trim the wave and also poke him a bit with the volley, and also empowers the jungle. So Kuz probably the biggest benefactor, but it's Deft saying, I'm not willing to kind of abandon laning phase against Nuclear and Hoyt and scale purely on the Kaisa alongside. I'm going to go with Ashe and try to fight a little bit earlier.
Like that idea. You know that you're giving away the Lucian, and you very much expect it up against Damwon, so you would have had to have something prepared for that matchup, being a little bit proactive about it in your picks. I will never complain about that, so I do like it. Notice the Jack spam after Kuz did make a bit of a mistake, but that didn't really go against the way he was playing the Jax. I thought it was quite decent. Not amazing, but very good, I would say. But they do ban away Comfort here from Cuz.
The Nocturne ban, though, with Ashe locked in is interesting, just because Ashe is kind of a compositional answer to Nocturne, the ability to hawkshot the camps and get a lot of information on the pathing. Camille priority has been lower so far this week, but I'm sure when Sandbox take to the Rift, every time it will be accounted for. And we will see Camille from Cuz. These seasoned LCK players playing Camille has not necessarily inspired confidence. Outside chance he's not on the Camille. The flexes can still come in from Kingzone's comp, but definitely the heavy expectation.
Certainly is. Things may change as the patches do come along and certain nerfs go towards him. But how about a response in the jungle will be the Zac coming out here for Canyon, as he was known for being very aggressive and playing stuff like the Kha'Zix, the Nocturne, but now he's going on to a tanky pick like the Zac. Interested to see how this comes along.
And it appears bold at first look, as there's a lock-in that's interesting. Seems like Jarvan is going to be hunting Jace for the potential to all in on the pick. Definitely the poke trades are going to be pretty decent for Jace, but Q poke can be an option, so that's probably Nuguri's champion, you would imagine, in this particular draft. Kingzone going to be thrown off, at least for the first 10 seconds of this final pick. What will they lock in? I think LeBlanc is a perfect choice in terms of power levels, and I've kind of been expecting this. The fact that you can go LeBlanc can be pretty emboldened to have decent laning phases. Lissandra's a containment matchup, but I don't feel like it's the winning matchup that some people think that it can be against LeBlanc. Yes, you don't die as much, but pre-6 you definitely can die. Post-6 you get poked out and on low health for the majority of the laning phase. So if you look at priority here, it actually looks like a very risky draft to try to run the Zac. You want Zac with winning lanes, and I can understand a game or a version of game number 2 where the lanes go well, but I can also see multiple, more than 50%, where this could be a struggle for Canyon on the receiving end of quite a lot of pain coming through from Kingzone.
Kingzone's comp feels like you just went into solo queue, you're doing your draft, and this is the enemy team that you're going up against. The really scary one that's got the Smurf LeBlanc and the Camille that's going to gank you 3 times before level 4. So definitely some scary stuff on the side of Kingzone this time around, but Damwon bringing in the new picks for not only Nuguri with the Jarvan in the top side, but also a new one here for Canyon on the Zac.
Good news, the only way this Jarvan works is full AD. So it's almost certainly, with the player we're talking about, going to be full AD Jarvan. Diving in, trying to delete people, and you know what? Ashe can do very little against Prince Jarvan the Fourth when he goes AD build, because EQR does basically her entire health bar. However, his entire health bar in lane versus Jace is going to be a struggle.
He's going to be taking it in lane, as he did point out before, but we are ready, guys. Interesting comps. Hit the Rift here for game number 2. There we go. We were missing you guys in the first game, as Kingzone's chant and that one was non-existent. This time around, though, they are here. So nice to see that, especially after they're winning game 1.
And it's a priority draft with Cuz on Camille. Seems like the worst nightmare of Zac player. Speaking of bad nightmares.
He's going to get stunned up here. Question is, do they have enough damage to actually kill him or get him to flash? The answer is no.
It's going to be all about what Kingzone want, and the Zac is going to be on, well, I'd love a Scuttle Crab duty. So we'll see how much of a full court press can be done. He doesn't get a topside jungle. You can see double ward put down and a zombie porro. The ultimate disrespect with the aggressive zombie porro. Think of the jungle clear speed that's going to happen now. With 3 AD at level 1. They're invading bot side. Will they get the ward? They do. Oh, just clipped the vision there on the trinket ward, and Pawn wants the extra experience for his level 2.
And you'll notice in game number 1, Cuz actually went blue buff to blue buff and ended up 3-buffing Canyon in game number 1 with the Jax versus Lee Sin combination. But look at this. Now they invade in not only one side, but 2 sides.
Here it is. Oh, no, Canyon gets that one. And that one. Come on, Rascal.
Where are the Jace mechanics? Not in game 2, guys.
And he gives up a lot for him to get no experience there, Cuz is going to have to keep dunking on bot side. Otherwise, the price is going to be significant. Speaking of Cuz,
he thought he could have his Raptors. The answer is absolutely not.
You say that, but that's Cuz's cooldowns down, and it's all going to be about how mid lane goes. So actually, Cuz is playing with fire a little bit. A lot about mid lane reactions here, and Cuz's cooldown only now gets hook shot up.
Yeah, looks like he's trying to bait him into thinking that he can have the Raptors. And the answer is no. Can he smite it? No.
Issue here, though, Valdez, is you need to continue this pressure, because if there's ever a fallback pattern and we just have, remember, experience is nerfed on the jungle right now, so farming up your levels is going to be slower. We're going to be lower levels. Under-leveled Camille sucks compared to under-leveled Zac. Zac has much less of a requirement, so unless you keep dunking and grow a lead, the fallback pattern of, well, I'll build a Cinderhulk and jump in and have a passive is going to be powerful. As we look over the laning runes, he actually went Scorch to try to rip down the health bars. It's the same keystone that we saw run in support Jarvan, the Airy, for E-poke and Q-poke in the top lane. But in the early laning phase, anything close to CS for CS is a big win for Jarvan. And he got a big win from the enemy top laner entering lane nice and late.
Just feels so good for him. He went poke build, as you were mentioning, with the Airy Scorch. And just having a blast up there in the top side. Also went for second wind and the Shield Bash. Not sure exactly what the name of the Shield Bash is, but...
Shield Bash is right, and Shield Bash is a really interesting one. I was watching Shifter's stream recently, and I'll hold the point, he is a big fan of top lane Jarvan, and he was really espousing W max Shield Bash Jarvan against Riven, and he dominated that lane, which is a hard lane, of course, for Prince Jarvan the Fourth. So I don't know if we're actually going to see W max in this game. Maybe that's too far. But you can actually get some surprisingly good trades out with Shield Bash and just smart use of Jarvan's W.
Be excited to see if he actually does go for that. No W max, but did have the Q max. I suppose he just wants to poke him out a little bit better up against that Jace, whose poke can just be overwhelming at times.
Just the sort of thing you don't think about. You know, extra points in W, or just Shield Bash Jarvan, because Jarvan's autos hurt a lot, right? He applies his passive, he has Shred from his Q, and then if you're also taking a Shield Bash proc while the Jarvan is shielded for any amount, it is likely to be an advantageous trade. It's the ranged non-committal trades where ranged attack or hits you and the melee champion's like, crap, you know, what can I do? And also running down the mana bar of the Jarvan where things go good, and it's probably why you have to go sorcery here, just try to have different things, have different ways to attack this lane. It's later where Jarvan can actually pull out the Oli.
Excited to see it in the hands of Nuguri specifically. I mean, we were talking about how this guy is mechanically a very much gifted player, but has, you know, some struggles with making sure he doesn't die in a side lane and stuff like that, but already having a little bit of help from his friend Zac. Unfortunately, that gank gets spotted.
Zac got no big buffs in this game as well, so he is really behind in experience. Cuz has been able to make his life annoying, but Zac wants to farm. Zac's just about getting experience, and the fact that it's level 4 to level 4, and Cuz isn't wielding any of his advantage onto successful ganks, means there is still a real chance that all the best laid plans of Kingzone DragonX come to nothing.
See the mid lane there for just a second. Little tip if you're going up against LeBlanc, dodge the chains, as you do not want to get stunned down, electrocute proc, and just lose half your health bar. Also making sure you can proc that aftershock as Lissandra. Very important, as you can imagine. This time around, Showmaker actually doing pretty well in the mid lane. Actually gets a nice push off there and will be ahead in CS for now.
Still a red buff on good old Cuz. Oh, missed the hook shot. Whoopsie. In the new patch, that won't matter as much. Obviously, you lose out on the damage, but the stun on the Scuttle is actually really relevant so that you do more damage to it, given how the Scuttle's resists work. No CC onto it means scurries around, and again, Cuz is getting a lot of things, but actually needs to make it work somewhere on the map. But now, that's not happening.
He picks up a nice amount of XP just passing by the mid lane as well, and is going to be spotted on multiple wards as he comes in, but he doesn't seem to care, as it's all about denying the Zac in this game, he says. as he'll leave the lanes alone for now and continue to attack these buffs. He'll have the enemy red buff once again.
Well, we already have buffless in the LCK lore, and, you know, Canyon is not picking up too many buffs, so we'll see when that does finally change. I think with buffless, it was something like 7 or 8 in a row. That's pretty hard to set up. Speaking of buffless, the Drake is also being started on the bot side, and Canyon will be spotted. Nice ward put down in the Pixel Brush means that the Raptor camp attack here is under the nose of Pawn.
No, you can't have the Raptors on either side of the map. I think he took them the first time around, but the only camp that's actually yours, Canyon, is the Wolves.
Tracking of Canyon should be pretty extended, but Pawn knows he should be topside. What will Canyon do here? He'll just take the Raptors.
Okay, finally he's going to get some Raptors on this side once again. Struggling to hit level 6, Cuz also not level 6 just yet.
If you're unsure why he went for that camp instead of the ultra-safe Wolves, it's because Wolves is always going to be Zax when Camille's on the bottom side of the map. The moment that Camille could realistically back from the Drake by and get to top side, he never gets to go back to Raptors, so it's purely about, I want as many camps as possible. This is a one-time offer on some Raptors, and that's why he all-ins to pick it up before realistically Cuz could beat him.
Yeah. Cool items here from Nuguri as well. He continues his poke. He doesn't really care about damage items for himself just yet. Just wants to say, I will win the trades by having Jace do a lot less damage to me with the Ninja Top.
Started with those Ninja Top. Again, my read is you have to go full AD this game because it works in the mid game and topside. It works in team fights against Ashe. Sunfire Kate was buffed, so there is a world where somehow that item comes up. I really can't expect it, given Nuguri, and just the only time we've seen Jarvan in the top lane, I was a little bit, we've seen it Rift Rivals, Smeb played it over at Rift Rivals last year against Rumble. It can be a very strong lane counter. Turns on earlier against Rumble, but still works against something like Jace later on.
Yeah, gonna be excited to see how his build path comes along. See, once again, the trades here. It's taken a bit less damage because of that. I believe this is the 4th Scuttle Crab that does go the way of Cuz. Might even be number 5, but either way, we do know that he's taken everyone on the map, and that's what's really important here.
So far, all of that is with a gold lead for Damwon game. The buff claimed by Showmaker. It's technically not Canyons, but it's close enough, right? It's kind of like a relic shield at this point when you talk about credit on where a blue buff goes. So because of that, the streak is ended by Cuz when it comes to stealing enemy buffs, and because no gold lead has been enacted, let's think of this game in a different way. Hey, what about if we both show up at 40,000 gold? Who do you feel better about? Well, to me, it's the team with the 80 Jarvan and the Zac. And right now, we're on course for that, so it means that Damwon Gaming have not been punished, even though it looks like Zac is having the worst time ever.
As long as he can slowly get his tank items and engage into the back line and essentially make Ashe a non-problem, he'll be very happy about it. So, struggle in the early game, but could have some fun here in the mid game as he's looking for deaths. But they are going to back away, as perhaps Hoyt and Nuclear give away. No reason to take the risk when there's no minions to take.
And at level 6, he actually can't get behind the duo, so it would have just come up short and looked a bit comical. Cuz I thought was going to be aggressive, but no. Going straight to his camp, and now equal levels between the junglers. Nuguri pushing up and starting to steal some Raptors of his own. Feels pretty good about that.
I know. It's funny that I was mentioning how those are not Canyons, but actually in this game it's not Cuz's, that top side, at least, on those Raptors, as Nuguri takes his fill this time around.
Yeah, this lane is a painful one for Showmaker. He can never on command get Aftershock either, so he ends up having no magic resist apart from Merc Treads on most of the trades. Again, this is where the matchup that one point seemed clear to be a counter starts to fall apart a bit. Sure, Lissandra players around the world have felt the pain of a good block.
Yeah, especially after level 6. She never has to fully engage for you to, get your combo and ult someone if it's you or her. And she just continues to sit there, poke against you. It doesn't matter how tanky you build. As you saw, it was Merc Treads and the Kindle Gem, but still, eventually you will have to back. But teleport does make things a little bit easier.
Queen Casa squealing laughter about something. We'll have to ask him about that earlier, later on. Canyon keeps farming and says, well, I'm doing my thing, guys. I'm farming up, and so far I can't argue, and it's actually E2 max here from the Jarvan. Of course, was buffed. 5% more attack speed at all times, and doubled when the flag is on the Rift. That tells you he wants to do some killing, because it's more burst damage as well.
Definitely is. Here's the first arrow of the game as they do get it onto Showmaker, but Aftershock was procced already. And so that means that no follow-up damage comes in. He's going to be totally fine.
Aftershock proccing there was very important. About 300 damage more for that to come in. That was not claimed by Nuguri.
Cuz is down 3 levels, but he knows he has the pressure from top side, and he is going to force that flash away from Nuguri.
Getting something. That's the first actual lane involvement from Cuz all game at 12 minutes. Wants to back it up with the Rift Herald. Now that's in vision of a blue ward and assist pings, so seems like they're not actually going to use multiple members to go there and stop it. Here we go.
Okay, Tucson does have his flash, wants to wait until the last moment, is going to flash stand beside as Nuguri winning a trade up in the top side.
Q?
Can he get on top of it? There's the flag, and the Q is going to be flashed away as Rascal, knowing that power, is able to get away with his life.
And is that the tipping point where things only get better and better for Prince Jarvan IV? The gank and the bot lane was a bit anemic, and the Rift Herald charge will come, so it's still actually going to lose them. Quite a lot of gold to the Jace. Rascal's happy to have his buddy Cuz, and an Ocean Drake, the only prize for Damwon Gaming.
And not a great one in this, as it looks like potentially this turret is even going to go down, so a ton of gold should go the way of both Rascal and Cuz in the top side. Rascal is low, but he does have the help of his friend to take this one out. 330 extra gold to Cuz, and now Nuguri can't begin to stay in that lane and bully the Jace after this moment where he gets those items, as the lane has just become a lot longer.
Auto attack cancels, attack speed on the hyperdrive. So easy to crack the turret, but look at this. Damwon Gaming will be able to trade. We've not always seen trades with turret plates, but it's important to note turret plates were traded basically equally between the two teams in the top and bot lane. That means the gold lead has not ballooned. It is a gold lead of 0. Let's watch this all in, see if there's any turret shenanigans. There is not. That's just one combo, and the one combo gets bigger and bigger. Rascal himself, frustratingly, has no way to answer really in item builds. You can't go for play the Rune King in this matchup. Nuguri's actually not going to be building very much health, so you just kind of have to go Youmuu's Black Cleaver and lose all-in trades.
Pretty much. I mean, it was right there on the edge. It was a nice little combo by Nuguri. Wasn't expecting it from Rascal, perhaps. As once you get knocked up, you know you're going to get all in. So, was able to get out alive with his life. So that is something. Both the top laners now do not have their flash. Let's see as Nuguri makes his way to the mid lane if maybe they can make something happen elsewhere on the map. But pings come out, and they know exactly where he is actually, as they ping him out there, even without the wards.
The pick CC threat, if you're trying to transition between lanes without control vision, is actually supremely high on both teams. We see LeBlanc, Lissandro's mid lane, a pick champion. Ashe is the pick AD carry of all, right, with the Ashe arrow, and it's Camille jungle. So be given all that on both sides. There's so many areas of the map where if you don't have vision, you bring a friend and you go the longest route possible. Damwon trying to play where they're strong, which is around the bot lane that picked up all the plates earlier. They rotate mid lane in. Ashe still going to be very happy to come mid lane, and Hawkshot can give them that vision that perhaps might be dissipating from time to time. But just like a vision battle around Baron really almost tipped the scales entirely to Damwon when Cuz walked too far, this feels like a game ripe for a mid-game pick, really setting the tone.
So many champions on both sides, as you mentioned, can make it happen too, which means we're bound for some action. We're bound for a first blood eventually, which, by the way, has not happened, and it might be now as in goes Tucson, or they're Hoyt right on top of him. As Tucson going to be in a lot of trouble here and will go down. And Showmaker shows up with the double root as Nuguri going 1v2 on the right side is immediately going to be punished. But an extra couple of kills in the mid lane to Damwon mean they win the fight.
Positioning on both sides all over the place. Deft overextended trying to fight with Tucson. He goes down. Damwon more crucially, they've got the numbers lead. They're pushing through mid lane. And the full health turret, they're taking basically no specks of dust this entire game, is going to get decimated.
Down it will go. Couple of kills go to Canyon, who's feeling good after that early game to make this happen.
So Tucson has flash. Notice that here. And his flash basically gets him nowhere. Doesn't get any value because the kidnap effect overrides it. Showmaker gets in the back line. Deft overextended because his buddy Tucson was swell, and Jarvan on the flank doesn't get any value, but two's bigger than one, and they have enough damage for the Lucian in the mid lane to bulldoze through that turret and actually grow the first meaningful lead of the game for Damwon, and they're the team with the Zac.
Looked like he was even on vision, but still got caught out there as the ward spotting Canyon, but that's the power, as maybe Canyon is going to now see the light of some of these tanky engaged junglers, and maybe we'll see more Zac out of someone like Canyon, who's known to be very aggressive, loves to play his Kha'Zix, Camille, stuff like that, but now seeing a kind of different pick with the Zac, and to much success here in the beginning of this game.
And every Zac game goes the same way in mid-game when it comes to analysis. It is, can we see the Zac on vision or can we not? If the answer is no, you will lose more than 9 out of 10 times because you need that vision. The Zac needs to be conspicuous, especially in a game like this. There's a lot of unknowns. There's outplay, right, from a LeBlanc. Jace can do a lot of cool stuff in a fight, but there's also knowns, which is Zac will get into the fight. It's impossible to stop him. He has his ultimate to always be relevant and cannot be disengaged with any reliability. And also, if Zac and Jarvan press their buttons on Ashe, she's not going to be able to put out damage with a Hurricane and a Play the Ruined King. She has no escape, and Jarvan's ultimate feasts on a champion like Ashe. So because of that, if the vision line falls down, Kingzone's options outside of very improbable outplays go out the window, and the reliability of Damwon taking basically every objective for free goes way up.
Yeah. They would have loved to win an early game and try to just win lane and go through there and try to negate some of the negative parts of their composition loss that you're going over, but so far Damwon have been very good in coming back after the Camille, getting in your face the entire time in the jungle. As you mentioned, there wasn't really any big kill or first blood or momentum that she was able to really do there because of the Camille. So it's kind of unfortunate that only has that one kill from the team fight that they kind of got on the side, not even in the 5v5.
I think the Invader is a pawn solo mission, but don't think he will pick up that blue. Was claimed by Lysandra. Nuguri wants to dunk someone, and he's got a lot of damage. He just wants to dunk at Deft.
Oh, Deft, you don't have your flash, so you die.
Yeah.
That's the way it goes, and unfortunately, that's the way it will go for the rest of the game.
Solid color casting there. It's the easiest analysis ever. Jarvan presses R on no flash. Ashe, she does. Always the story. In a game like this, unless there's a lot of backup. Speaking of backup, Pawn has to scurry along. And you know what? Rascal's relieved. He knows the enemy doesn't have it. So that feels pretty good for the Jace in the side lane. Titanic Hydra probably going to be on the way. You could go Ravenous here if you really want to hit the side lane hard, and it is Nuguri after all. But Titanic, heavily expected. Cause jungling, but the threat level on Nuguri is minimal.
Yeah, I mean, it is that Jarvan, cause is going to look around the side, but doesn't even land a hook shot, so Nuguri just trying to get as many of the little Krugs as he can.
2 points E, and then maxing W second is Nuguri for the pseudo tankiness, and definitely in a team fight, you can get away with the dunks.
That's that chain, and will he follow up?
Chilling Smite and the rotation being on cooldown means that he will get away.
Yeah. Thought Pawn would continue, but did see the Lysandra nearby. At least they do get the smite, not the worst thing in the world.
Big item breakpoints coming in. Should be Cinderhulk into Warmogs being done. Not quite. Just the recipe to be done. 400 gold, I believe, on that one. For the Zac, now he can dive in, and he was already having a lot of fun there. Titanic Hydra almost done for Nuguri, and that's where it might be lights out for Kingzone. Not impossible. Again, we talk about that outplay potential, and damn, can they shred a Baron real fast. But for now, at least, no access to that, no map control, and no idea where Zac is. So seems like Kingzone doing their best Damwon impression, just hitting the side lane and hoping to see a mistake from their enemies.
Would be nice to see more Jarvan. I love his playmaking ability to make the team fights a little bit more fun. It does cut down a little bit on some of those AD carries that you do see, like the Ashe, the Varus, the Jhin. But I've been having a lot of fun with him in the jungle. You attack really fast, and you clear camps extremely fast. Saw some pro players even returning to Tiamat on jungle Jarvan. It's an item that a lot of junglers did step away from once the item cost did go up by, I think, 200. Just became a little bit too expensive to work into your build, but it does make your clear insanely fast so that you can just get so many items on the jungle Jarvan.
Yeah, more attack speed at all moments, so the extra AoE is going to proc even more. Chasing on to Pawn, he's in trouble.
Just waiting for the hop back, as now all 5 members of Damwon are on the way for you, Pawn. He's going to hop all the way back. They're waiting on his clone, and okay, see you later. Held that one for so long, and actually he did go back once again. As play the Yakety
Pawn,
Sax.
it's a great escape if you can do this. I think he might have.
Okay, the flash on in, as now they're going to link together, but still it will be missed as, Pawn playing with the hearts of the Damwon fans and the Damwon players.
And it's not trivial about it. It's going to get so much time for Jace, and there's a Camille shadowing this. If they get the dive here as well.
Not only Camille, it's also Deft. It's 3-on-1, and this time around, the Jarvan shouldn't look too good as the combo is dodged by Cuz going for the ultimate.
Kingzone just
3-on-1
dunked them. That was awesome stuff from Pawn. He spent so much time going in and out. He deserves the full zoom.
Yeah.
Really nicely played there. You always want to condemn someone to death when 5 people have made it their business to take him down. 5 people is not enough.
I just love the way he held his ultimate to go for the double dash. Only when the full engage, the full commit happened on the bottom side outside of Zac and Alistar.
What was our analysis of game number 1? Pawn got out of lane, and he just tried to buy space, just to buy time. He was the grand distraction. Can you be any more of a distraction than Pawn is? I wish we had the timer on the screen, because the Yakety Sax music was playing for the entire time.
Yeah.
If we were playing it during this, we'd probably have to pay royalties. It was the full 30 seconds and then some. Continues to open up here, respecting abilities like, for example, the Kidnap. Continues to go forward, and how many summoners, ults, and other things are used, and it's Cleanse LeBlanc, much more about the ruse than an Ignite LeBlanc.
Yeah. You take the cleanse for the Lissandra in the lane, but it ends up being very useful up against Alistar Zac, just to make sure your escape can happen. And now what happens from here? You were mentioning the Baron speed for Damwon Gaming. They'll pick up a Mountain Drake that's going to be very nice for them, but they got to grab a hold of their mental after they just had it torn to pieces by the side of Kingzone.
And you know, these are the young mechanical solo queue players that were top 10. They had the entire top 10 squad when they were playing in Kesper Cup. Of course, now, everything's resetting, and those numbers are not as relevant. What I'm trying to say is, you are tilted right now. We're kind of tilted watching this because
yeah.
5 people chased after a LeBlanc, didn't get the kill, and they lost to death down bot lane in a turret. So right now, you're feeling sheepish. Egg is literally on your faces right now, and they have to reset, get their control wards down, understand that they still have Ashe's flash down because she used it, and that turret dive bot lane. And you still have the Zac Jarvan duo that seem ripe to take over this game. Unopposed making mistakes. Is this one of them?
Okay, we're going 1v2. He has his team behind him, but he wasn't expecting Pawn to be there. I would have to give him the benefit of the doubt, but now they are in so much trouble as back he will be knocked as Lissandra, even through the aftershock, is going to go down. It's total decimation to the side of Kingzone. Not even close, as Cuz himself will even live on the backside, and now they will be the team to turn on to Baron.
Well, the mentor was turned off a little bit too long, and it gets capitalized on and feasted on by Kingzone DragonX. They're going to get a free Baron from this, all because Nuguri wanted to get over that wall, and he wanted to get there fast. Unfortunately, that meant EQ on cooldown. He dies instantly, and so does Baron. Kingzone DragonX turning around this game. Watch the replay here. There's no one top lane, and he's like, I'll take this. And Cuz is reading Nuguri like a book. That is a Nuguri play. He is the one to say, what's the fastest way to get to a minion wave? And you know what the analysis from Cuz was? The minion wave, look at where it was, right? It's above this position as the fight goes on. It's above this position. It's in that equal point between blue and red side pushing. you know Nogari is going to say, oh, a minion wave I can hoover. You're surprised that he comes so quickly, but he was there for the gank with the hook shot into the wall. If the minion wave was in the middle, he got all the job done because the EQ was on cooldown, and they just kill the damn Jarvan.
It's just a mistake. You got to grab a hold of your mental. You can't just be EQing into the darkness. That's just not something you can do at this point of the game. You have to realize that after the plays that just happened a couple minutes before, that you're behind now, and you can't make mistakes like that. And now you got a fed Camille, a fed LeBlanc, and a lot of huge threats on the side of Kingzone, where you were talking about it compositionally. If both teams didn't make any mistakes, perhaps Damwon would be the victor up against the Ashe, but after this, I mean, what can you really say? And
that's why we always kind of preface our analysis in games like this, where given the teams involved, it doesn't always go to script. Again, we said 9 out of 10 times Damwon held all the cards. We're seeing the 1 out of 10 where Damwon make the big mistakes, Kingzone get the nice capitalization, and Nogari's watching his inhibitor turret go down, and Damwon, as a squad and in the individuals, I think in all ways, are well off the pace right now, and Kingzone taking the maximum.
You mentioned it before, a bunch of extremely skilled young players that still have to get a little bit more experience,
TP.
I'd say. We'll see if they can make anything happen here as TP's coming in. There's only 2 members of Kingzone here as Cuz is going to get away from it, but can he survive? No, the flash comes forward. And the Camille at least will die, but they're spending so much to just try to kill them, and they're losing the whole map.
Exactly, mid lane, outer turret goes down. The inhibitor is going to go down. It's Jace, by the way, and there's no way you're going to get a double kill bot side when it's LeBlanc Camille. Camille already trolled out of the ultimate there. Cataclysm didn't come too cataclysmically. The bot lane inhibitor goes down as well. They lose 2 inhibitors, and they only kill the Camille that started a lot of these headaches.
Well, at least they were able to get the shutdown, is all I can really say, because they haven't really got anything else in their pockets. Is a very unfortunate turn of events here for Damwon Gaming, but gotta admire Kingzone for having the wherewithal to say, we're struggling in this one, but we can come back.
Cataclysm versus all the mobility spells sometimes leads to amusing moments like that. Still going to go down, but again, this should be a replay of the minimap and of the minion push in mid. They get so many objectives from that. Gold lead increases from the side of Kingzone DragonX, and it was a very improbable path to victory. Cuz tried to apply pressure early, but it went way better than expected for Damwon. Remember, Jarvan went CS for CS with the Jace when he had no jungler because his jungler couldn't get a buff.
Yeah.
And then Canyon, slowly picked up experience, and around level 7 was equal. So this was a game ripe for just run at the enemy team and beat them, but through some creative mistakes, you definitely need to fully explain this one. Damwon now find themselves 1 mistake away from losing 2-0.
Well, you mentioned creative mistakes. How about trying to get on into a blue buff in Vision, as Rascal is going to be finally collapsed upon by everything that Damwon have to offer.
Well, they're going to need to be more of those because they've lost 2 inhibitors, but I take your point. We'll put 1 on the scoreboard there for Damwon Gaming. Is going to take down Scuttle, continue to open up map control. He wants Elder to spawn, and happy news for Kingzone is going to come just after 35 minutes.
That it will. Feeling really good about this one. I don't really mind the Ocean Drake. They'll take it, but as you mentioned, Elder will spawn next up as Spooky Ghosts. That's kind of what I call that item now. What is it called? Twin Shadows?
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't worry, Spooky Ghost was kind of always the meme name for it, so you get both of them.
At least I have the meme name in my head.
It's not quite a big package situation that you've been guilty of in the past. This time you're fine with Spooky Ghost, and you know why this is a great Spooky Ghost game? It's against Damwon Gaming. They like to go walkabout, and it finds people when they go walkabout.
So good for split pushing too. You just see people before they even get close. Already LeBlanc is so slippery. But you can slow them down if you want to chase. You can spot them if you're going to be the one chased 5v1. It's just a great item that you can tech into, essentially, when you already do have a nice amount of gold in your pockets.
Now, for all our analysis, Zach could tilt out of this game, but he might just straight up die.
Okay, he's going to get the Braum into the back line, but he's super tanky. Palm getting in there as well. Okay, nice amount of damage from Nuggery into the back line, but now Cuz trying to go 1v2 as well. but he has a Guardian Angel, whereas the Jarvan does not. Meanwhile, the Lucian also goes down in the fight. It's because he's able to take him out, and it looks like Kingzone are going to look for that 2-0 victory.
They're TPing as well here. Is that Deft? I believe it is. He has to flash already.
Yeah, they're getting on in there, and not much that Canyon and Hoyt can do. Showmaker struggling to get in range even. Finally, they take out the LeBlanc. And have they gone too far? Lots of low health bars on the side of Kingzone, but it does not matter. They're going to be pushing in for the victory as both Nexus turrets do go down. They're still trying to kill Deft. Can they even do that, Damwon? The answer's going to be no, as Kingzone win the match 2-0.
An epically frustrating game for Damwon Gaming, and how did it start? But the trickery of Pawn on the LeBlanc. He bought so much time, and from there, the ability to reset your mental after a moment like that is not trivial, and it's to one of our new teams with those hotshot solo queue players. From there, everything was from there. It won't be shown in the gold graph, but that was the moment where they got under the skin of Damwon Gaming as a 5, because it was a 5-man collapse. Credit to Pawn, it was the greatest illustration of the point I was making. When Pawn can be all you can focus on in the early to mid game, he's so often been surrounded by chargers who can take it over in the late. And on a macro side, they kind of put Damwon on the hamster wheel, even though it seemed like this would be the game where after a solid early game, Damwon would force us into a game number 3.
Yeah, I mean, everything was looking fantastic when you have your Jarvan that, you know, just won a big trade up against Jace in the top side, a very hard lane, and then he's in the enemy jungle and no vision, and he easily just combos down the Ashe. You feel like there's no hope on their side, but Kingzone, credit to them, able to calm down after that and say, we have a lot in our composition, actually, that can pull this team apart. They had Jace, unbelievable split pusher. They had LeBlanc, no TP, but also a fantastic split pusher. They pulled apart the map, and Damwon just kind of crumbled to pieces, trying to deal with those multiple lane pushes. And unfortunately for them, Kingzone looked like a much better team tonight.
And it's now a 4-game losing streak for Damwon Gaming. You look at their results, they beat Gen.G at the start of the season when they were out of form. They beat KT, who are currently right down there with Jinair. Their losses are Griffin, SKT, Sandbox. Okay, can kind of understand those. Nice little wave to the camera there from Cuz, but now they've lost 2-0 to Kingza, and the manner in which they've lost those 4 games has had a lot of repeatable mistakes. Nogari's mental going topside and compounding the bad play around the LeBlanc to hand over the Baron to Kingzone. Another issue, Valdez, they need to look at. It's the fact that again and again, teams seem to understand that if they're on the red side, ban all those top laners. If they're on the blue side, stick to your guns and wait for there to be a mistake. That does seem like a blueprint to more often than not take down Damwon, even in a game like this where, again, you see the Zac and Jarvan against Ashe and you say, bonanza, how could they possibly win in teamfights? It wasn't about teamfights by the time there were 5v5s. So much it filtered into the pockets of Kingzone that should not have been there.
Yeah, Kingzone essentially took the mistakes and they made their game play to their composition, and they did it quite beautifully. As you really got to give him credit for that one. Would imagine that Pawn picks up the MVP from this game. That would be my MVP 100%. I think Cuz might pick it up just because he had a lot of kills and did some stuff, but definitely feel like Pawn should earn this one after game 2.
Good stuff from Kingzone DragonX. I'm happy that they've gone away from being whipping boys, because it could have happened, right? They lost 3 sets in a row at Kesper Cup into the first 2 sets, and we thought, okay, you saw the worst of Rascal and Cuz being names that aren't household names, that aren't plug-and-play replacements on paper to what was there before. And then you saw, okay, it's going to be a struggle, right? It feels like maybe Deft and Tucson won't be able to find much. Pawn is finding his straps. He's finally, this felt like the ultimate Pawn puffing out his chess game, where he was actually a big reason that they were able to win. Took time to get there, that's for sure, but Kingzone's dominoes are starting to stack together. And that means that right now, they're not a team you can look past, which wasn't a thing we could say for granted 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, for sure. They have climbed a lot of spots, and this is the moment where you're like, wow, Damwon.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I mean, this is how you play your composition, and then all of a sudden, everybody tries to kill Pawn, and it does not go the way they wanted it.
Just so amazing was this escape. It's not like his abilities are being used in kind of precise moments, but just his understanding of every threat that's around, you know, understanding which crowd control is coming, what cooldowns are up, playing around flashes and ults from so many members, and by the end, it's lumbering tanks trying to close the distance, but Pawn problem-solved this in the best way possible, and it led to this moment where Noguri says, all right, I died, I'm going top lane, there's a minion wave for me to grow a lead. Nope, he's dead instantly, and everything falls apart for Damwon Gaming.
And then even after that, they say, hey, let's go in. Canyon hops in, and all of a sudden, it's like, well, I guess it's not only just going to be the one mistake from Nuguri, it's going to be your entire team trying to fight a 4v5. They all die except Nuclear. A free Baron goes the way of Kingzone, and then with the Baron push of Jason LeBlanc, it's like lights out from there.
And then it's just kill the damn Camille. She started all of this, damn it. That's wild. They lose inhibitor, they lose turrets, they lost 2 inhibitors and mid lane out of turret in that play. And there just was no way back. There's actually a 5-level lead of the Jace over the Zac at this point because so many neutrals have been lost in kind of one fell swoop. And Damwon Gaming, the VOD review will be a painful one. Maybe not for today. They're done with this week. And I think they need to go and spend some time on the break. Because remember, they don't play for ages, in fact, Valdez. They're done. Oh, they're done for so long after this. And we're watching what Noguri could do. There was no backup for him because the team couldn't actually back up the Jarvan engage.
I mean, Cuz went 1v4, and he had the GA, so he was able to just suicide onto the Lucian, who, again, didn't, you know, experience as much of the dying as some of his teammates did earlier on in the game, and just removed that threat. They were already so far ahead, and you can see the change in the gold graph that's really depressing for Damwon fans. They were so far ahead, and then all of a sudden, a couple of plays, and down in the dumps.
Just so you know, if you flip this graph, it's what you would expect. You would expect a gold lead and an experience lead for the team with the Camille jungle against the Zac, and then a late game outscale. That lets you know that Damwon were way ahead of what you would have expected given the comp and what the game looked like, and then actually through a game that was super winnable purely because of a great play from Pawn, who needs to be recognized, but also the very obvious effect that had on the morale and play of the Damwon members.
Yeah, there you have it. That sign in the audience said, hey, I was always believing in Kingzone, and I'm sure a lot of those Kingzone fans...
Liar.
I hope she's not a flip-flopper, but if she was for real, that's very impressive.
If you're out there saying you were always there, you weren't.
They, you know, I wasn't always there. I'll come out and say it. Now I'm like on the Kingzone hype train where I'm like, yeah, these guys look good. Pawn's a carry, you know. Cuz is going to pick it up. And, you know, he did a couple of things that were nice. Good positioning in this one, especially to get this kill on Nuguri. Also had Pawn's help, though. And I feel like Pawn's robbed a little bit, but Cuz, props to him, as he did have a pretty nice game as well.
It was a good Kingzone performance, and look at Rascal in this play, kind of underappreciated for guaranteeing that Lissandra would be stuck in the middle of multiple players.
Yeah.
Don't often see the flanking Jace, but an effective one. Kingzone are actually playing as a 5. No passenger in this game. No one you want to point your finger at and say you got to step up, because everyone played pretty well.
Yeah.
And that means that now Kingzone, they look to play again this week from memory. Don't have the schedule in front of me. We can grab it here and check it out. Who is
Gen G?
That's a tricky one, because Gen G are on a short win streak and Kingzone are on a more noticeable one. Kingzone win that. 4th, 5th, 3rd place. What is the ceiling of Kingzone? Way higher than we thought.
It's a good question. I'm going to hand it over to Ji-sun. She's going to translate the interview. We'll be right back.
Thank you very much, guys.
승리 정말 축하드립니다. 특히 데프트 선수는 알파카의 너구리, LCK 대표 진승남들의 대결에서 승리를 했습니다. 오늘
So
소감
it was
어떠신가요?
Alpaca versus Nuguri Raccoon. How was today's match? Game 1, we actually went with the composition that we're confident with, but our performance wasn't really clean. So I was a bit unhappy. But game 2, we tried some more like a complicated composition, but the game went smoother than we thought. So I'm satisfied with that game 2.
모습 보여주셨고요. 커즈 선수는 소감 어떠신가요?
What about you, Cuz? How was today's series?
석기 형 말대로 조금
Just like Devs just mentioned, game was a bit tough.
역전해서 이겨서
And we turned the game around.
분위기도 더 좋고 좀
So we
기분이
were
좋고
actually
그거
feeling okay.
기세를 이어서
And we had the good momentum on our hand, so we were able to take down game 2.
잘할 수
with better
있고
performance and
좋았던
better
것 같아요.
concentration.
이렇게 말씀하셨듯이 역전이 가능한 것이 또 킹존의 힘이죠. 특히 첫 번째 경기에서
Game one.
글로벌 골드가 뒤쳐졌는데도
You
불구하고
guys actually
승리를
won the game,
따냈습니다.
losing
언제 승리를
in gold.
확신하셨나요?
이제 아무래도 이제 투신 선수가
When
아칸으로
Tusin
이제 바론을
stole the Baron with
빼앗아서
Rakan,
이제 상대방
I think
팀이
we've
게임을 끝낼 수
got
없이
some kind of
시간이
momentum
생겨서
there, and
조합이
Damwon wasn't
좋기
able to
때문에
close out the game.
타이밍만
So I
더
think that was
한다면
the
이길 수 있다고
moment that we got the
그때
game in
투신
our hand.
선수가 내가 희생했다 뭐 하면서 어떤
Did
콜이
Tusin say
있었나요?
anything about it?
일단 그때 상황이 저희가 좀 불리했어서 일단 빨리
We
도망가라고
were losing at
했던
that
것 같아요.
moment, so he told us to
네,
just
그
back off.
이후에 이제 바텀에서 에이스까지 나오면서 경기가 뒤집혔는데요.
Well,
이때
after that, you
투신
guys
선수의
aced out
활약이
all the Damwon players
보였습니다.
and you're able
좀
to
무리하는
close
거
out the
아닌가 이런
game.
생각은 안 하셨어요?
일단 저 바론을 저희가 막지
Well,
못하면은 거의
we
이제
really had to stop their
역전하기가
Baron
힘들다고
because we
생각을
knew
해서
that it was going to be super
저기서
hard to
이제
turn the game
승부를
around
가는
if they
게
get the
잘
Baron. So
네, 맞습니다.
it was really
자,
happy that
오늘도
it turned out to
카이사
be that
엔딩이었습니다.
lucky.
데프트 엔딩 어떠셨나요? 본인
There was
카이사가
another
만든다고
Kaisa
생각하세요?
ending. You were the
뭐
one closing out the game.
다들 카이사를 잘하셔서 뭐
Everyone
딱히
is
제가 더
actually
잘한다고
good at Kaisa,
생각하지
so
않고
I'm not really that
그냥-
like feeling
그냥
I'm the super
잘하는
great Kaisa player. I'm
네,
just like a
하지만
normal Kaisa
엄청난 장면이
player.
있었습니다. 저희 장면 보면서 얘기를 나눌
But there
텐데요.
was this outplay over
타고
here.
와서
You used your
잡아내는
TP
슈퍼 플레이가 있었습니다.
and you landed your W to
네.
finish that listen over
잘 돼서
there.
다행이긴 한데 원래는 이제
I mean, I was really
제
lucky,
패만
and
보이는 상황이었는데
if I couldn't,
어떻게
if I wasn't able to
야,
take him
카이사가
down,
맞췄네.
that could have
아니,
been waste of my
정조준을
TP. So
하신
I was
거예요?
a bit
아니면
lucky.
우연히 맞은 건가요?
Was that a luck, or did you aim for it?
조준하고 냈었죠.
Well, I did aim, but still I was
제가
a
좀
bit
질문을
lucky.
잘못했을 것 같습니다. 네. 조준을 잘하셨고 또 그게 리신의 킬까지 이어졌습니다. 라칸이 이제 투신
Rakan,
선수가
투신.
너프가 되고 나서 처음 꺼냈단
people were
말이에요.
actually saying that-
의외였거든요. 어떤 얘기를
Well, there were a
나누셨나요?
lot of negative thoughts about
라칸
Rakan
픽
after
같은
the
경우에는
patch.
뭐 너프가 되든 안 되든 일단 챔피언
Well,
특성이
Rakan
바뀐 건
itself,
아니어서
the
좀
champion didn't change much.
잘하고
It is
좋아하는
indeed
픽이어서
nerfed, but
조합에
it is
따라서
one of Tusin's
계속
favorite
꺼낼 수
picks.
있어요.
So I think we will
네,
keep
알겠습니다.
going
자,
with
세트 얘기
Rakan.
나눠보겠습니다. 커즈 선수 오늘 첫
And cuz let's talk
MVP입니다.
about game
많이
2.
떨리진
This is your
않으세요?
first MVP interview. Are you nervous?
조금 떨리긴 한데
A little bit,
그래도 MVP 받아서
but
기분 되게 좋아요.
I'm really happy that I got the MVP.
1세트 잭스도 정말 잘한 것 같은데
And I think I really did really
혁경이
well on
되는 게
Jax
좀
on game 1.
아쉽긴 해요.
So I'm really sad that Deft got the MVP
네,
for game 1.
알겠습니다. 자, 두 번째 경기에서 4버프 컨트롤을 하고 또 정글 목까지
Yes, so
독식을
you
했어요.
had
상대를
4 buffs on your
말려주겠다,
side,
이런
then
각오가
you were
있으셨던 것
counter jungling
같거든요.
so
어떠셨나요?
hard.
자크가 아무래도 처음에 정말 약한 챔프고
Zac is really weak in
위치가
the early
보일
stage of
때
game.
저희 팀이 또 편하게 할
So
수 있고
whenever we had the
하늘에
vision
갱
on
압박도
his
줄수 있어서
side,
더 적극적으로
it's really easy for me to
가정을 했던 것
play
같아요.
to counter
네,
gank
그리고
or counter
상대가
jungle and
자료가
move a lot of gank in the
나왔는데
lane.
그때는 어떤 준비가 되어
And Noguri
있었나요?
went with top J4. Are you ready for
처음에는
that?
보고 살짝 놀랐는데
No, we were actually
자르반이
surprised and
아무래도
frustrated when we
아프리카
first
팀에서
J4 on the top lane, but
서서 되게 나쁘지 않은
well, we
빌이고
did see
옛날에
Zarvan
이제
coming
저희
out
팀도
from
자르반을
Africa
제이스 상대로
Freaks,
많이 썼
and we all have a lot of experience with J4 versus
조금
J4 versus
그래도
J's top
상대하기
matchup,
좀더
so
쉬웠던
it
것
wasn't really hard. It
네,
was actually
자신감
easy to
있었던
play
커즈
against it.
선수였습니다. 탑에서 폰쇼가 나왔습니다. 정말 세 명의
And there
상대를
was this
데리고
pawn
시종일관
showtime
도망다니는
on top
모습이었는데
lane.
결국 살아간 게 대단했어요. 지금 장면이 준비되어 있으면 함께
Let's
보면서
go to the
얘기할 텐데
highlight clip
폰
first.
선수가 그때 어떤 얘기 하셨나요?
What did Pawn say at that moment?
혁경이 아니 원석이 형이 이제
Pawn said
처음에는
at first,
그냥 죽을 것 같다 하면서
I think I'm gonna die here.
간다 얘기하고
So
저희는
I'll
그냥
do my best to
최대한
run away.
무슨 이득 볼 수 있는 거
So all the other
최대한
players were trying to get
짤을
some
본다든지
objectives or
정글을
get the visions
가능한다든지
or counter jungle
그런
over
얘기가
there.
나왔어요. 그냥 계속 도망간다 하는데
He was just saying, I'm just running away, running away.
종욱이 형이 와
But we
진짜
didn't
잘
know he was
도망갔네
this
하면서
good at
되게
escaping. So we were kind of amazed
네,
by his
정말
play over there.
엄청난 폰 선수의 플레이였습니다. 그리고 마지막 장면 커즈 선수의
And in the end,
4대1 그리고
you went
한 명을
in
킬하고 또
4v1
승리까지 정말 대단했습니다.
in the
어떻게
very
그
last team
자리에서
fight.
오래 버틸 수 있었나요?
How are you able to manage to
아무래도
survive so long?
챔피언 패시브랑
Well, I have the Camille passive and ult, and I also had GA, and I also had
강인한
Flash,
특성이랑 헤르메스 신발을
and I have
신어서
the Hermes
되게
boots and
CC도
all the
적게
other
걸리고
runes that
힘도
fits me so
좀
well.
되면서
So I had a
되게
lot of CCs, but at the same time, I was really tanky.
네, 결국 여기서 커즈 선수가 해줬던 역할 때문에 경기가 완전히 끝나게
You were the
됐습니다.
key player that closed out the game at that moment. What did you say, Def, to cause at that moment?
왜 이렇게 잘하냐고 했던 것 같아요.
I think I said, why are you guys so good?
잘하는 킹존이었습니다. 자, 다음 경기는 젠지입니다.
So your next
소감
opponent will
말씀
be
들어볼게요,
Genji.
데프트 선수.
네, 이제 젠지전 끝나고 이제 설 연휴가
Well,
있는데
after the Genji series, we're gonna have a long holiday, so
이길 수 있도록
I wanna enjoy my vacation, so I'm gonna make sure to
어,
win
저도
that
이제
game.
젠지전 끝나고
Yeah,
설
after
연휴가
the
있어서 되게
Genji
열심히
series, we're gonna have a
더
long
열심히 할것
vacation, so
같고
I think I'm gonna
이제
be extra trying hard
응원해주시는
at that
분들
series,
감사합니다.
and I wanna thank all the fans
네,
that have been supporting
감사합니다.
us.
커즈 선수가 특별히 좀 부끄러워하시는 것 같아서 다음에 또 이 자리에서 뵐 수
So
있었으면
this will be the
좋겠습니다.
end of the
인터뷰
interview of
감사드리고요.
Deft
저희
and Cuz from
안녕하면서
Kingzone
마칠게요.
DragonX, and I'm
여러분
gonna pass it back to our casters. Thank you.
안녕.
Thank you, Ji-sun, for that translation. Wonderful, as always. And yeah, I mean, going in there 4v1, 1v4, Cuz getting the job done at the end, but they were already so far ahead. So good stuff across the board. Kingzone looking really good. I think they should win the matchup up against Genji, and they'll be going into a nice little vacation on a roll.
I just like that they are more than the sum of their parts in a good way. It feels like they have some smart ideas about the meta. I think Acorn has readied his troops pretty well when it comes to drafting. Love how they approached FLICKR's unpredictableness, and then also able to attack Damwon in a way that maybe we didn't see coming, but also the obvious hold down Nuggery that seems to work in a pretty reliable fashion. That means, given that, let's see if they can play that forward and be ready for Gen G, because you kind of know it's going to be Kai'Sa rule a late game win condition. They can also show some inspired play there. It's not just a sloppy series they win 2-1. If they can actually 2-0 that opponent and say another good thing, we're like, they prepared for that very well. Then we actually have a surprise packet that might actually be able to assault some of our better teams. Not going to talk about Griffin just yet. That one might be a bridge too far.
Yeah.
But there's something about Kingzone that wasn't discussed a month ago.
Yeah, I mean, you go into this one, and if we didn't have Kingzone winning 2 in a row and Damwon, having some struggles, this would be a crazy result.
It's going to be a bit of a crazy break, though.
Yeah, will be, guys. We are going to go to that about a 1 hour break, so we'll see you guys then for the next matchup. We'll be back in just a bit.
You take me higher when I feel low. Make my world brighter when I'm alone. I keep on rolling, all with your fuel. You're like my gasoline that makes my dream come true. 'Cause this is the beginning.